Egghead has definitely been the arc where a lot of the fans have been able to let their imaginations run wild when it comes to guessing what twists and turns will come next in the story. But what if I told you that the biggest of all these plots in the future will be an event that takes place after the imprisonment of Edward Weevil, with all of the Marines currently focusing on either the Straw Hats on Egghead or Blackbeard on Pirate Island. There is an opportunity for two other parties to sail towards the underwater prison, also known as Impel Down, to free their soon-to-be comrades. If you haven't guessed it by now, I'm talking about the newly dubbed Yonko crew known as the Cross Guild, and the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates led by Marco, going to Impel Down to free Don Quixote Doflamingo, Bon Clay, and Edward Weevil. I also think that we will get to see this arc play out in a similar fashion to the Reverie, where we only see the best bits, and it's a small contained arc of maybe 4 to 10 chapters maximum. Alright, now let me go ahead and break down how Impel Down 2.0 will most likely go down, starting with the biggest group most likely on their way there, the Cross Guild. From what we've already seen from the Cross Guild so far, it seems like they're already making big moves in the New World despite being the most newly formed crew amongst all the big time crews in the story so far. Power moves like gaining considerable backing from the criminal underworld, to then using that to create bounties on the heads of Marines. They've definitely been taking the New World by storm. You have to wonder though, why is it that they've started to place bounties on the Navy in the first place? We've seen Eustace Kid say that the bounties are now giving the Marines a reason to watch their back from bounty hunters and even civilians. But Crocodile, someone whose bounty skyrocketed because of his intellect, would have to have a plan behind all of this. I believe that Crocodile and Cross Guild have done this to not only create more issues for the Navy, but also to draw their attention away from Impel Down. This is in order to break in and free Don Quixote Doflamingo so that Crocodile can recruit him to the Cross Guild in order to work alongside them. Now I know what you're thinking. Besides strength, how exactly does Doflamingo benefit the Cross Guild? Well, the reason for that is a lot more simple than you think. They need him in order to generate the funds that Crocodile needs to chase whatever goal he has in mind. We know that Crocodile played the role of an angel investor in Buggy's delivery, and that he came to Buggy's rescue to make sure that he wouldn't be able to run away from paying him back. So with this in mind, we know that he needs funds for a particular reason that hasn't been told to us just yet. The perfect person in the entire world of One Piece to help with this would be Doflamingo, because of his connections in the underworld, and it would also give more reason for the criminals of the underworld to fund their cause, because adding a powerhouse like Doflamingo to the guild would definitely make them a much bigger threat than they were before. Doflamingo himself would most likely accept the offer as well, because not only would they be freeing him, but it would also allow him to do as he pleases as the officer of the crew, with Buggy taking all the heat as the face of the guild. This would also present an opportunity for other members of his family to be freed as well, like Pika, who would be a massive help in a prison made entirely out of stone, and Senior Pink, who would be able to stealthily traverse through the floors. Most importantly, someone like Sugar would really be able to help out with how powerful her fruit would be in the future. Doflamingo wouldn't be the only one reunited with the people he's affiliated with though. Crocodile would also use this chance to free Bon Clay, the current queen of New Kama Land on level 5.5. Not only would he and the Yokomas there be a huge help to their escape effort from Impel Down, but we also know that Buggy and Galdino, aka Mr. 3, were especially moved by Bon Clay's sacrifice the last time they were there, so it only makes sense for them to want to rescue him once they realize that he's been alive this whole time. I also believe that Crocodile would want him to join the Cross Guild as well, which I don't think Bon-chan would accept because I think that he fits perfectly as a member of the Straw Hat Fleet. But that's for a later video. Now that I've just about broken down the Cross Guild's role in this arc, I think it's time we move on to the next group of people who will be at this Impel Down breakout. After the events of chapter 1073, we know that Green Bull defeated Weevil and has taken him to be imprisoned at Impel Down. Because of this, and the fact that he was only arrested because he chose to save the citizens of Sphinx Island, Miss Bucking has decided to ask Marco for his help to get her beloved son back. Apparently, she can sense that he doesn't believe that Weevil and Whitebeard are blood related, and so Miss Bucking states that this can be proven true by Vegapunk. Even though this is interesting with all the clone theories going around, I really don't think that a blood relation will be important to Marco, and that he will go ahead and save Weevil anyways. This is because he owes the former warlord a considerable debt because of his heroics on Sphinx Island, and also because Whitebeard's actual sons, the Whitebeard pirates, were never blood related in the first place. so I don't think that holds a lot of weight in his eyes. Although I do think Marco will go to Impel Down to save Weevil, I think that this is a task that is too big for one man to handle. My theory is that we'll see Marco reach out to the former Whitebeard commanders Jozu and Vista for their help. This makes sense because not only have we not seen them yet in the story, but this would also be a good reason for them to finally come back, which is to save someone who could be related to Whitebeard, and also someone who saved Whitebeard's actual home. This is especially true after the three of them failed to save Ace during the Marineford War, and this can be their chance to redeem themselves. It would also be interesting to see how Jozu and Vista have developed after the time skip and their loss to the Blackbeard pirates. One thing to note though is that this would also mean that along with the members of Cross Guild, we would basically see a lot of the same powerhouses that fought together or against each other in the Summit War all in the same arc again. One more potentially interesting story beat that can play out is that after the Whitebeard pirates free Weevil from imprisonment, it's possible that Buggy actually recruits him into the Cross Guild alongside Doflamingo. This would be fitting because not only is Weevil a former warlord like the rest of the Cross Guild's main members, but he's also someone Buggy would see as extremely valuable because of his strength and the fact that he can be manipulated very easily. Just imagine the sort of comedic scenes we can get from Weevil and Buggy's interaction with each other. I feel like Weevil would work really well with Cross Guild and be a good juxtaposition to Doflamingo as a more light-hearted character joining the group. The next thing I'd like to get into is the potential resistance that these two pirate groups would have to face off against in order to achieve their goals of freeing the prisoners within Impel Down. Even though the leading figure in Impel Down would be Hannibal after he was promoted to Warden following the escape of Luffy and the others during the last time we were at Impel Down, I believe the main threat is still going to be Magellan. This is even more true after the time skip and after he had been demoted to Vice Warden. It's extremely likely that after being demoted, Magellan has become much more powerful because of how seriously he takes his job. Since he was the one at fault for the first escape, it makes a lot of sense to assume that he's been using this time as Vice Warden to train and become stronger, so that something like that wouldn't happen again. Unfortunately for Magellan though, the people that are coming to free the prisoners of Impel Down this time are much bigger threats. I do think though that Magellan will have a much better showing this time and will display Haki in combination with his Devil Fruit to become an even more dangerous foe. I wouldn't be surprised if Magellan had used these 2 years to learn how to awaken his Devil Fruit as well, which would be extremely dangerous now that we've seen how crazy Paramecia awakenings can get. Just imagine Magellan being able to turn the floors and walls of Impel Down into poison that he could freely control. Another factor to this is the fact that Hannibal isn't going to be letting things slide this time, since it's his position that's on the line and not Magellan's. This means that we are most likely going to see Hannibal trying his hardest to stop the breakout from happening, unlike the last time where he almost wanted the prisoners to escape so that he would get promoted. If you combine this with the fact that we may even see the Jailer Beasts come back as fully awakened zones, I definitely think that breaking out the prisoners won't be a walk in the park. As for the Marines, we know that most of them are headed towards either Egghead or Pirate Island, but it is still possible that we may get a few stragglers headed towards Impel Down as backup for the Wardens and Jailers. The ones I do think we'll see are Momo Usagi and Shaton, because not only do they have animal epithets similar to the Admirals, meaning that they could be very strong, but also the fact that we have yet to see these two Vice Admirals in action. The third Marine that I expect to come to the prison as backup is Suru, because of her ties to Doflamingo from his past, and the fact that she knows just how dangerous it can be if he escapes. I have always been anticipating getting to see her in action, and I believe that her powers with the Wash Fruit are perfect for this environment, where she will be dealing with the world's worst criminals. I also think it would be a good opportunity to show just how powerful she is, especially because she is usually compared to Garp and Sengoku in terms of her legacy in the Marines. All in all, I think that we're in for a treat when it comes to both sides of the coin here in this possible Impel Down 2.0 arc. To summarize everything, I believe that this will be an arc that takes place between Egghead and Elbaf, similar to how the Reverie worked, where we get a small run of chapters focused outside of the Straw Hat crew. This definitely cannot be off screen because of the amount of characters that would be in play, and the effect it would have on the world of One Piece is too great. I can't wait to see all the parties in action, and definitely think that an arc like this would flip the One Piece community on its head. One question I'd like to ask you guys in the comment is, do you think that we may see the Beast Pirates involved as well? I'm kind of on the fence because I don't think all of them were captured, to be honest. Also, if you've stuck around until the end, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss even more of my One Piece videos I have planned in the future. Later!